Hi, everyone. Thanks again for joining us. I'm Farah Hussain, former Fortune 200 director, current executive coach, and author of The Pivotal Leader on Substack. I am thrilled to have Sofia Laveaux-Crawford with us today. She is the second founder in this interview series that is designed to normalize and humanize pivots. Sofia is the founder of Seal Certify, a startup using blockchain to fix how we handle document authentication. With a background as a paralegal, 6 years as a notary, and the founder of her own notary business, Sofia saw just how broken the system is, especially when it comes to apostilles and international certifications. So she decided to build the solution herself. Sofia, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I am super excited to be a part of this podcast.
The thing that really stood out to me about you is you do not have a tech background. You've spent a lot of your career handling physical paper, meeting people in person. How did you know that it was time for you to be a tech founder?
Well, I didn't. It just kind of became the reality. I hadn't planned on it, but throughout my work, I realized the world was starting to shift to more electronic based solutions for problems. I realized my industry is not going to exist in a couple of years, and I don't want to get stuck, not have an out. So when I realized this is a big problem that we currently have with apostilles and authentications, I realized this is the out. This is the way to make things better for a lot of people. So I didn't ever have the thought, I'm going to be a tech founder. I had the thought, there are two major problems here that I need to solve, and I'm going to solve them.
What were some of the challenges you had when you created the first version of your tech business?
But that I had no idea what I was doing because I don't have a technical background. I knew what I wanted to do and I wrote it. I drew images of kind of what I wanted on pieces of paper and then just arranged everything until it kind of just looked like this makes sense. I like this. And then watching a lot of YouTube tutorials on the basics of coding and a lot of Reddit helped me put together like the first basic draft of the actual software.
And how did you make it real?
A lot of just working on it overnight and then going to my regular job the next day, sitting at the computer with the blanket hood wrapped around me so I could really get in the right mood to code. It was corny, but it worked. It took a long time and just a lot of energy and making mistakes and mistakes and mistakes over and over and over again, and then getting it to work and then immediately breaking the program, like with the next line of code, and then I couldn't put it back together.
And I know that at the start of this year, you made a big pivot with your business to create version 2. What
Yeah.
was that pivot?
So this year, I realized that the initial plan that I had was too small. I knew that there were things that I wanted to do that expanded beyond the initial version, but I think I had just made myself smaller just out of like habit. This year, having conversations with people that I knew through work and like clients of mine who did startups and had very successful startups, I had discussions with them and I just showed them what I had and just said, tell me what your thoughts are. I didn't guide them to any specific answer. And they all said, Sofia, like, this is great. It's too small. You are bigger than this. You can be bigger than this, and Seal Certify can be way bigger than this. And you need to just allow that. I think you are intentionally making it and yourself smaller because that's where you feel comfortable. Realizing that and getting that feedback, I was like, okay, this kind of confirmed what I was feeling internally, but was too scared to kind of admit to myself because that would mean that everything would change, and change can be scary.
What made you take that feedback and say, I'm going to listen to it?
Oh, because they're smart. They're smart. They've done this. They've been there, done that. They had these same feelings like back in the day, and they had somebody tell them, hey, you're thinking too small, do better. I've known these folks for years. The advice that they gave me was really good advice. I'm going to take it and I'm going to do whatever is necessary in order to make those changes happen.
And in the last 6 months that you've started to make those changes, what have been some of your early indicators that it was a good shift to make?
Talking about it to other people, I began mentioning what I was doing to just people that I would meet on an everyday basis. Because in my head, it's not real if I don't talk about it. So I need to make myself talk about it. And then the reactions and feedback that I got from people with this newer version were way better, and they understood it a lot clearer too. It wasn't as abstract to an everyday person. So that was showing me going in the right direction here. And then going to various like startup events and conferences, talking about it with other people, it just got really great feedback that I didn't really get before. I got a more of a like, oh, that's cute kind of vibe from some folks. And then here it's like, okay, yes, we get that. That's fantastic. It was just a total shift with the reactions from other folks.
One thing I had talked to you about even before today is that I have this concept of pivotal leadership being leadership that's focused on truth. What does truth mean in the context of your business?
So I do remember us talking about truth seeking and how I think that that's different for every person. So something that is very true for you may not be true for me. And so when talking to other folks, I think it's very important to be discerning and not always having to accept that their truth is also yours, but always giving it a fair shot and to listen to it, even if it's uncomfortable for you. I would have loved to have just heard from people, Sophia, you are a genius. This is amazing and flawless. But I would have gone nowhere, and that's not genius. So hearing things that make you feel uncomfortable but push you to do better, I think is very important. But also making sure that the constructive criticism that you receive is actually constructive. Sometimes you have biases about yourself that can lead you to accept bad advice as being true because it's something that you're familiar with. You have to learn a lot about yourself and your own values.
How do you discern between feedback that's going to be helpful to your business, feedback that's not going to be relevant? How do you decide what you're going to listen to and what you're going to implement?
I think understanding the motivations behind the advice. There's folks that are very genuine and want to help you, and they will give you good advice. There are folks that are very genuine and want to help you and give you terrible advice. You just have to weigh the advice against your own experiences and against things that you do know to be true. I've had a lot of bad advice given to me regarding Seal Certify. And if something feels odd to you, it is. If you keep running into this strange feeling, listen to it and talk to other people as well. You don't have to be the one to decide all of these things by yourself. Talk to people who you trust and are looking out for you to let you know, like, hey, they actually have a point and it's going to be really difficult for you to do this, but I think it's worth it. Or like, girl, no, move on. Don't listen to that. Having people that are in your corner to act as a second voice can be really helpful.
You know, the other thing I'm hearing you describe is that sometimes decisions don't have to be based on logic. They can be based on, as you describe it, a recurring reaction you find yourself having to certain types of feedback. And in some ways, that recurring reaction has much validity as any hard fact might.
Yeah, yeah. I don't like how a lot of folks feel that feelings and logic are separate. I don't think that they are. Feelings and logic should go together, and that's how you make a good decision. One that you've thought through and recognize like the weight of instead of, well, I'm just going to logic this and I'm just going to do whatever. And then it's like a terrible decision because you didn't actually feel anything when going into it. So listen to the signals that your body is telling you. We have existed for millions of years for that reason. If you consistently ignore them, you will just end up dead in the water.
On the topic of feelings, what advice do you have for founders who are afraid to pivot? Because it sounds like you weren't.
So I have very strong feelings about this. One of the things that I am most afraid of in life is remaining the same, to just be stagnant and to not make any progress or move forward or anything in your life. And so when you are afraid to pivot, I think it's important to analyze why and go beyond just the surface level reasons. Like, well, if I pivot, then I'm going to have to deal with a lot of these changes in my life. Okay, what about those changes scare you? Address those changes and then figure out how to solve those with the pivot. You have to pivot in your life, whether it be with your job, your family, your friendships, with anything, you do have to make changes. If you are so afraid of making change that you're just paralyzed, you're going to remain in that same uncomfortable feeling for a very long time. So I think analyzing why you are afraid of the pivot is important. And you can set up things in your life to try and mitigate any like negative fallout or feedback that you might get from that pivot. But I've also said that I don't necessarily believe that failure exists. I only think that you have failed when you stop trying and you don't change. If you're at a job and they're saying like, yo, like you need to step it up a little bit, you're falling behind, and you don't do anything, and then you're like, oh no, I got fired, I'm a failure. No, you didn't change. You didn't step up. You didn't do what you're capable of doing. And if you're not capable, leave on your own terms,
Mhm.
like get ahead of that. But I don't believe that failure exists if you are trying, and that the only time that you can fail is if you just decide to quit on trying to improve yourself. Failure is an indication that you are too afraid to change and that you are too afraid to make the right pivot.
It also sounds to me like you really value personal accountability.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You need to rely on yourself like at the core. If you are putting your own accountability on the shoulders of others, you're not going to get really good results because people have lives. People are also busy and are holding themselves accountable for things. It's very important that you realize that your life is in your own hands. I completely understand how the weight of external circumstances can crush you because it has crushed me many times in my life. But I was also the only person that was able to get myself out of it. Hold yourself accountable. Be your own best friend. Hold
Mm.
yourself accountable the way that you would hold your best friend or like a sibling or somebody else. If they came to you and was like, hey, I'm struggling with this, you'd be like, yeah, you are. Let's figure this out. When you know yourself the best out of anybody else, so you know all the things that you don't want other people to know, hold yourself accountable. You're going to be the one that's best at it.
Let's imagine that your business were a person. What relationship do you have with your business?
At this point in time, a love-hate relationship. So, like having a sister, it's a beautiful thing. It is also a lot of work. I absolutely love what it is doing, what it can do, what it will continue to do. But I'm the one that has to make that happen and to push it forward. It's not sentient. So it can't, just automatically do things on its own. So that's, I think, the type of relationship that I have. But also, it's a direct reflection of me. If there's something that I don't like about it at its core. That is something I don't like about myself at my core. And so I need to fix that and then allow that change to reflect in the business.
What do you want people to know about you as a business owner?
That I have very strong values around what I think a business should be and the values that it should have. I don't ever want to provide a service that is just good enough because that's not good enough for me, especially when people are paying for it. I want to give people an excellent service that is also affordable to everyday regular people. I want to respect the time of others. I want to pay people that work for me very well because I highly value what they do. Like I said, my business is a reflection of me as a person, and I want to be a good person and I want to put that out into the world. And so if my business isn't doing that, if it's taking more than it gives, then that has to change because I don't like that. And so I want people to know that I'm not here to just make some quick money off of you. I want to actually help people and to do good in the world, especially with so much that's going on in the world that's just bad. I don't want to contribute to that at all. I'm doing my best to make sure that the service that I provide is an A+ service at an A+ price.
That seems like a great place for us to close today. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your insights. For those of you who are listening, subscribe to the Pivotal Leader on Substack for practical inspiration for your business and leadership pivots. I look forward to seeing you next month. Thanks, Sophia, for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. You are fantastic and lovely as always. And again, I'm super, super thankful for this opportunity to be a guest with you and to chat.